It's Pete from Cheap Homesteading, and today we're in the sugar bush and we're going to start tapping some trees. Today is about 2 or 3 degrees below zero. Before this, it's been so cold, I really didn't feel like coming out and tapping trees and slugging around the cold. So I feel like I got a little bit behind, and now it starts to look like the weather's going to change. Next week looks like it could possibly run, so today's the day I got to get the buckets on the trees. If you've been around the channel for the last little while, you've seen that, I've used pipeline and I ran a lot of taps that way, and I had some mixed reviews about it. It just didn't work good. I didn't have a vacuum pump to suck it out of the trees. It just didn't give me as much as a pail would. So, you know what? At the end of last year, I looked around and I was able to pick up 110 sap pails. So I'm thinking I probably will have about 150 to 160 pails, which should give me technically 150 to 160 liters of maple syrup. You know what? Every year I plan to get more and more pails so we can boil more and more maple syrup, but the weather doesn't seem to work out, and it just seems like I'm just staying ahead. So this year, I feel, unless the weather just totally messes with me, we really should have a good year with the maple syrup. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go out and we're going to tap most of the maple trees. I don't make a lot of money from this, so it's just kind of getting out there and enjoying it, and I make enough for the family and stuff like that. So I feel like how I do it is probably a good way of doing it for someone that just has a little bit of acreage and wants to make a little bit of maple syrup without putting a ton of money into it. So let's start. So you need something to drill holes in the trees. The first few years I used cordless drills, and I was constantly running back and forth charging batteries. So it's kind of not really that ideal. But that's what I used. I used crank hand drills. They worked okay, but it takes forever. And 2 years ago, I bought an MS 250 and bought an adapter, a drill adapter from Holtzforma. And this thing has been a lifesaver. You can really tap a lot of trees in a day really quick. It's way quicker than a battery-operated drill for sure. So the first thing you want to do when you find your maple tree is tap the south side of the tree. You can kind of go from southeast to southwest, but you want to make sure it's on the south side of the tree because that gets the most sunlight. The sun hits the tree, and then the sap starts coming up the tree. So if you put it on the south side, you'll get the most amount of sap run. If you go on too much where there's too much shade, it doesn't work very good. The next thing is when you tap the tree, you want to make sure that the drill bit has a slight slope down. The reason for that is because at night, whenever it gets cold, it may freeze, and it'll take a while for that little chunk of ice to melt. It'll run faster and earlier if it'll run out of the tree fully when it hits nighttime. At least that's what I gather from it anyway. So what you want to do is only drill this far into the tree, just enough so you can hammer your spile in. You don't want to drill too far into the tree because you damage the tree, especially multiple years and you make big holes. So it's important you only go in about that far. When you tap a tree, you want to make sure that you don't tap lined up with the previous year's taps. Like you can see, one was here at one point, another was here. So you want to make sure that you drill somewhere here so it's not lined up with the old tap marks. You just kind of want to be a little bit off it. You get your spile, put it in. Throw my lid on now. One's on, and I got about 150 to go. So I got about 68 pails out and lids ready to go. I got about another 90 to go. I counted the pails that I haven't put out yet. The new pails, for some reason, I never thought, but I don't have lids. And I'm not going to go out and buy lids. So I have a big roll of aluminum. I'm going to cut them. But I kind of don't want to hang them on the tree until I have the lids on it, because we're going to get tons and tons of rain tomorrow. So I'll show you what I got done. And you know what? It's a lot of work, but it's actually kind of fun. I enjoy this time of year. So there is a lot of pails up. You know, it doesn't really look like a ton of work, but when you're trucking through the snow, it makes it twice as hard. I got all those all down the trail. Hard to see, but there's a bunch in there. I can hear that it's actually running. I got these all tapped with the plastic pails. I try to put them out behind the sugar shack, so the nice ones are out front. And they go down the trail there. So I got 68 pails up in the tree with lids. I kind of forgot about the new buckets that I didn't have lids for. I don't really know why. I never thought of that. But I do know I have a big roll of aluminum that I can use to make lids. I just want to make very simple lids, because if I went out to buy lids for all those pails, it'd be $200-300 worth of lids. And, you know, this day and age, I really don't feel like I want to spend a ton of money if you don't have to. So I'm going to make a bunch of these lids. It's going to take time, but tomorrow it's going to rain, so maybe I'll make all the lids tomorrow. Every day after work, I'll come and put up 20-30 pails. And then by the end of the week, I should have it complete and finished. So that's the plan anyways. Next week shows about +2 in the day, +1 in the day. So it's not like really warm. It really shouldn't start running heavy or anything. But I really do want to make sure I get all these pails up, get everything ready. I still have a lot of work to do, and I really don't want to miss any of the flow. So, but today is starting to run out, and I think that's about enough for today. And you guys have a good one.